If you wish to build wealth, you must first learn to stop performing poverty. Most people do not stay poor because they lack intelligence. They stay poor because their life is arranged around noise. Noise in their spending, noise in their thinking, noise in their emotions, noise in the way they seek approval from people who cannot guide them anywhere worth going. A man who cannot be still will always confuse movement with progress. He will mistake excitement for vision. He will mistake income for wealth. He will mistake visibility for importance. And when the years pass, he will discover that he has been busy, tired, praised perhaps, but never truly free. Wealth begins where performance ends. The first fortune is not in your bank account. It is in your self-command, in your ability to hold your tongue, to delay appetite, to ignore fashion, to refuse the temptation of living like a man who has already won, while in truth he has built nothing that can protect him. Many men want the appearance of success long before they have earned the discipline required to preserve it. They want the car, the watch, the vacation, the applause, the expensive habits. But every unnecessary display becomes a tax on the future. Every indulgence repeated without thought becomes a chain. And every chain, no matter how elegant, still limits a man. The poor man often believes money will save him. The wiser man understands that character determines what money is allowed to do. Give money to a foolish mind, and it multiplies foolish decisions. Give money to an undisciplined life, and it funds chaos at a higher level. Give money to a vain man, and it will be used to purchase the admiration of strangers. But give money to a disciplined mind, and it becomes a worker, a quiet worker, a tireless servant, a builder of walls, of time, of options, of safety, of legacy. You do not need wealth in order to start thinking like a wealthy man. You need order. And order is available long before fortune arrives. A wealthy life is built first by subtraction. Remove waste. Remove the habit of reacting to every desire. Remove your need to be seen. Remove the influence of people whose lives are a warning disguised as advice. Remove the endless buying of comforts that weaken your ability to endure anything difficult. The modern world trains people to worship convenience. Food at once, entertainment at once, pleasure at once, validation at once, opinion at once, and then they wonder why their spirit has become weak. A man accustomed to instant reward cannot think in decades. And if he cannot think in decades, he will never build anything that survives him. The first rule of wealth is this: what you repeat shapes what you deserve. If every month you rehearse disorder, debt, distraction, and display, then poverty is not your misfortune. It is your routine. And a routine, once protected by ego, becomes destiny. Look at how most people spend their best years. They exhaust their energy to fund a lifestyle designed to impress equally exhausted people. They purchase symbols to hide insecurity. They borrow against tomorrow in order to feel superior today. They tell themselves they deserve little luxuries because life is hard. But the truth is far less pleasant. Life remains hard because they keep rewarding themselves for remaining weak. A disciplined man does not ask whether he deserves a luxury. He asks whether it serves the structure of the life he is building. That is the difference between appetite and command. The appetite asks, "Can I afford this?" Command asks, "What will this cost my future?" The appetite seeks relief. Command seeks power. There is no dignity in being ruled by your impulses. There is no greatness in having expensive taste with no reserves. There is no wisdom in looking rich while remaining dependent. Independence is the first true luxury. The ability to say no. The ability to walk away. The ability to survive a poor season without panic. The ability to choose your associates because you want them, not because you need them. Most men never become dangerous in the positive sense of the word. They never become strong enough, calm enough, resourced enough, disciplined enough to shape events. They remain at the mercy of moods, employers, trends, and emergencies. And because they are controlled by circumstances, they spend their lives negotiating with fear. Wealth reduces fear when it is built correctly. But money alone does not do this. Structure does. Restraint does. Preparedness does. A reserve account does. Low needs do. A steady mind does. The man who requires very little becomes difficult to control. And the man who becomes difficult to control has already taken a step toward real power. This is why silence matters. No great structure is built by announcing each brick. No serious fortune is built by discussing every intention. The undisciplined speak early, because speech gives them the pleasure of completion before the work is done. They announce the business, the plan, the investment, the transformation, the discipline, the comeback. And that announcement becomes a substitute for achievement. It invites opinion, envy, pressure, and illusion. The wise builder speaks late. He lets the account grow before he mentions the habit. He lets the results appear before he explains the method. He lets people misunderstand him while he continues laying foundations beneath the visible surface. Silence protects concentration. Silence protects momentum. Silence protects the unborn thing. If you want wealth, stop narrating your life to people who have done nothing with theirs. Stop asking for permission to become serious. Stop negotiating with the standards of the crowd. The crowd has many voices and very little memory. It praises today what it mocked yesterday. It mocks today what it will envy tomorrow. To build by the standards of the crowd is to build on wet soil. There's another mistake the average man makes. He believes wealth is mostly a matter of earning more. Earning more matters, yes. But if higher income enters a leaking vessel, all you have created is a faster version of the same problem. A man who cannot govern 1,000 will mismanage 10,000 with greater style. An undisciplined person becomes more sophisticated in his excuses as his income rises. That is all. Before income must come governance. Before expansion must come order. Before luxury must come surplus. Before surplus must come self-control. These things are not glamorous, which is precisely why so few people honor them. But glamour is for spectators. Fortune is for builders. The middle-class trap is not merely financial. It is psychological. It is the habit of arranging one's identity around consumption instead of creation, around salaries instead of assets, around comfort instead of control, around short-term relief instead of long-term position. A trap man says, "I need more money." A builder asks, "What system keeps me from retaining what I earn?" One blames the world. The other studies structure, and structure always wins. You must understand the power of delayed recognition. Many men want visible results too soon. They need evidence that others can see. But a great life often looks unimpressive in its early stages. It may appear narrow, modest, repetitive, even dull. The future rich man may drive less car, attend fewer celebrations, speak less of his ambitions, and spend more time learning than displaying. To shallow observers, he appears behind. But he is not behind. He is underground. Roots grow in darkness. Wealth is often built in seasons that the world misreads. There is a season for learning, a season for restraint, a season for working quietly, a season for compounding, a season for refusing temptations that would make an excellent photograph and a poor future. Few people respect these seasons because they have been trained to admire immediacy. But the tree does not argue with the man who mocks the seed. It grows anyway. If you wish to build a lasting fortune, become harder to tempt. That means training your eye. When you see an expensive object, do not ask whether it is beautiful. Ask what desire is trying to awaken. When you hear a public success story, do not ask how to imitate the surface. Ask what unseen discipline made the outcome possible. When you enter a room full of display, do not envy the display. Study the dependence behind it. Many impressive lives are financed by anxiety. Many expensive habits are the uniform of insecurity. The calm man has an advantage because he can see what the hungry man cannot. He sees the long cost. He sees the maintenance burden. He sees the energy leak. He sees the trap hidden inside the reward. The impulsive man sees only acquisition. The calm man sees ownership. And ownership is where reality begins. A weak man buys to feel powerful. A disciplined man builds power first and buys very carefully afterward. That single reversal changes everything. One becomes a servant to his image. The other becomes master of his circumstances. One needs witnesses. The other needs results. One burns resources to sustain a performance. The other invests resources to expand freedom. There's a lesson here about reputation as well. Do not waste your life trying to appear important. Importance is fragile when it depends on attention. The most durable authority comes from reliability, judgment, reserves, patience, and self-possession. A man with these qualities does not need to insist on his value. Others feel it. Doors change around him. Conversations change around him. Opportunities move differently toward him. Not because he is louder, but because he is steadier. And steadiness is rare. In unstable times, stable men become valuable. In emotional markets, calm judgment becomes valuable. In a distracted age, concentration becomes valuable. In a vain culture, restraint becomes valuable. Do you see the pattern? Whatever becomes rare becomes expensive. And because discipline has become rare, disciplined people now possess a form of wealth long before money arrives. The world teaches young men to seek expression. It will be wiser to teach them containment. Not suppression born of fear, but containment born of strength. The ability to govern anger, to govern appetite, to govern speech, to govern ambition so that it serve a system instead of erupting into random exertion. Without containment, talent becomes chaos. With containment, even ordinary talent can build something formidable. Consider your day. How much of it is governed by intention? How much by habit? How much by impulse? How much by someone else's agenda? Most men are poor in part because their days are not their own. They are fractured by distraction, drained by low-value obligations, and numbed by comforts that restore nothing. A disordered day becomes a disordered year. A disordered year becomes a disordered life. And then the same man asks why wealth avoids him. Wealth avoids disorder because disorder cannot protect it. Begin with the day. Rise at a fixed hour. Keep accounts. Know what enters and what leaves. Spend less than your vanity would prefer. Read more than your impulses enjoy. Sit alone long enough to hear what your habits are costing you. Reduce your needs. Choose associates who strengthen your judgment rather than flatter your weakness. And above all, stop consuming the future in exchange for present comfort. That single habit ruins more lives than misfortune ever will. Many people speak of opportunity as though it were a mysterious visitor. But opportunity often appears in plain clothes. It appears as responsibility accepted early, as boredom tolerated, as consistency repeated, as skills deepened when nobody is watching, as money not spent, as attention not scattered, as pride swallowed in order to learn. The crowd misses opportunity because it expects excitement. But real opportunity is usually quiet. That is why quiet people find it first. There is also the matter of family and legacy. A fortune that ends with the first generation was never truly understood. If all your ambition ends with your own comfort, then your thinking is smaller than your income, no matter how large it becomes. The higher task is not merely to possess wealth. It is to create a structure that outlives your moods. A structure of values, habits, reserves, judgment, and stewardship. Money given without character is often a curse delivered in elegant packaging. Legacy is not money alone. Legacy is the transmission of standards. And standards are formed in ordinary moments. How you speak at the table, how you react to inconvenience, whether children see panic or calm, whether they see you spending to impress or saving to prepare, whether they inherit appetite or discipline, whether they learn that wealth is a performance or a responsibility. These things matter more than grand speeches. Homes are educated by repetition. Families become what they practice. Do not imagine that discipline makes life smaller. It makes it stronger. A restrained life is not a deprived life. It is a defended life. It keeps your future from being sold piece by piece to every passing temptation. It gives weight to your yes because you have learned how to say no. It gives dignity to your possessions because you are not owned by them. It gives calm to your decisions because they are not made in hunger. And hunger is not always about food or money. Some men are hungry for applause. Some are hungry for romance. Some are hungry for status. Some are hungry for novelty. A hungry man can be manipulated through whatever he has not mastered. Study this carefully. Your ungoverned desires are entry points through which the world purchases influence over you. Master the desire, and you close the door. Ignore it, and you remain for sale. To become wealthy in the deepest sense, you must become harder to buy, harder to flatter, harder to provoke, harder to rush, harder to deceive with appearances. A man of this kind may build money, yes, but even before the money comes, he has already become expensive in a more profound sense. His standards are expensive. His time is expensive. His peace is expensive. His attention is expensive. And because he treats these things as precious, life begins to return value in proportion. There will always be people who call such a life boring. Let them. They are addicted to disorder and call it excitement. They confuse volatility with aliveness. They require constant stimulation because they have never built inner substance. Do not trade durability for entertainment. Do not trade substance for image. Do not trade 10 strong years for 10 loud weekends. History is filled with men who glittered briefly and vanished entirely. A wiser ambition is to become solid. A solid man is not easily shaken by headlines, trends, mockery, or temporary setbacks. He has reserves. He has methods. He has perspective. He understands that one poor season need not become a ruined life. He understands that markets rise and fall, reputations rise and fall, fortunes rise and fall, but habits compound in either direction every day. That is why the smallest repeated thing in your life deserves respect. Repeated neglect becomes collapse. Repeated discipline becomes power. Ask yourself an honest question. What in your current life is quietly making you weak? What purchase? What subscription? What friendship? What appetite? What routine? What story about yourself? Do not seek a dramatic answer first. Find the ordinary leak, the recurring leak, the leak you protect because it comforts you. There lies the beginning of change. Great recoveries often begin with unimpressive corrections. The glamorous mind despises small adjustments. The builder reveres them. He knows empires are made from what is repeated, not what is announced. If you are beginning from little, do not be ashamed. Shame is wasted energy. Begin cleanly. Tell the truth about your numbers. Tell the truth about your habits. Tell the truth about the years you have already spent badly. Then close the account emotionally and open the account practically. A serious life can begin in a single honest afternoon, not because everything changes at once, but because denial ends at once. And when denial ends, construction becomes possible. Do not wait to feel powerful before you live with order. Order is how power is invited. Do not wait to feel rich before you become restrained. Restraint is how wealth is kept. Do not wait for perfect conditions. Perfect conditions are one of the favorite fantasies of weak men. Strength begins in imperfect rooms, with imperfect means, under imperfect weather, and still it begins. At the end of a life, the question is not how loudly you lived. It is what you built that remained, what pressures you could withstand, what chaos you refused, what standards you defended, what future you protected, what name your habits gave to your character, and whether the life you created became a shelter for others or merely a performance for yourself. Build wealth in silence. Build judgment in solitude. Build habits in repetition. Build reserves in discipline. Build a name that does not need explaining. And when the world finally notices, let it notice a structure already too strong to be moved by its opinion. That is how a man stops chasing wealth and becomes capable of carrying it.